You know, the Word of God says, what seems impossible for man is actually possible for God. God works in the impossibilities of life. What you can't do is just right for God. What do you do when it seems that the mountain ahead of you is too high for you to climb, or situations or circumstances are beyond your control? But you know within your heart, God has a divine plan for you. Well, what do? Well, you trust Him. In all of your ways, acknowledge Him, and He'll direct your path. And God will do inside of you and through you what seems impossible to everybody else. My guest today, Debra McGee, my goodness, she's a prime example of perseverance and resilience and determination. You're going to be blessed by her testimony. You're going to be inspired by her journey. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey, listen, I am so excited that you've joined me today. Now, let me say this. No slight on anybody else. Let me get that out first, because I enjoy having all of my guests. And let me share something with you in terms of how we plan our programming and how we plan our guests. We just don't sit down and say, now, well, let's just think of somebody. And I go through my phone log and say, well, let's call this person and see if they're available. Every guest on this program, every single guest on this program, we have prayed over and we have prayed about. So when you see them on this program on this particular day, even this particular day, not just any time, but when you see them on this program on this particular date or day, it is providential. That means that we wholly believe, W-H-O-L-L-Y and H-O-L-Y, we believe that God has designed them to be here. Why? Because this program is not about us, it's all about you. It is to inspire you, it's to encourage you, and yes, it is even to challenge you to embrace your divine purpose, knowing that you're not here accidentally, incidentally, but you've been providentially created by God and placed in this sphere called time for such a time as this to make an impactful difference. There was a need, there was a garden, and God created Adam to tend the garden. God created you to tend your vineyard, what He has given you in this space of time. And God has given each of us a word to encourage one another, to say, stay with it. Don't turn back. Jesus says, the thief, Jesus calls the enemy, the devil, the thief. Jesus says in John 10:10, the thief, King James Version, the thief comes not but for to steal, kill, and to destroy. Oh, I might as well just live any kind of way. Hold on. Listen to what else Jesus says. There's a conjunction there. There's a but. Means that it's just a pause in breath. But hold on, I got something else to say. Jesus said, the thief comes not but for to steal, kill, and destroy. But I come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. So you heard my introduction. You heard the promo. What do you do when life happens? When there are mountains and when there's valleys, what do you do? Well, Proverbs 3:5-6 says, trust in the Lord with all of your heart. Lean not to your own understanding. In all of your ways, acknowledge Him, and He shall direct that path. Now, I'm not making my very dear friend, she's a very dear friend, and she's been a dear friend of Carla, that's my wife, you know her very well, and myself for over 20 years, longer than that. And when you see and you witness and you observe this person, and they have highs and lows, and they get hit with boulders, and they get hit with life, they get hit with valleys, they get hit with mountains, and sometimes they buckle. It takes the breath out of them. They get a little winded. But eventually, they stand back up and they keep walking. You know, life can be tough sometimes. Job can testify of that. My guest today, Debra McGee. When I think of her, I think of resilience. I think of determination. She is the one I believe that God has given broad shoulders to. And he is not surprised by any of the things that he has assigned to her. God can prevent anything. But he is not surprised by anything that she's gone through, her highs, her lows, the boulders that has hit her in life, all of the incredible achievements, all of the doors that she has opened for countless of people that she's probably forgotten about. She is my guest today. I could not wait to get her on this program. I'm like a kid in a candy store. Now, Debra's worked very hard. She has earned each position that she has past tense sat in, or she sits in, or the Lord will put her in. And I am tempted to read some of her resume so that for those of you that may not know her, I don't know who wouldn't, but for those of you, then at least an opportunity to introduce you to her. I'm sure, particularly in the metropolitan area of Jackson, Mississippi, and state of Mississippi, and in fact, the region, many of you already know her. But because this is a global program, then I'd at least like to introduce, for those of you that don't know her, to you. Debra McGee is a Senior Vice President and Director of Minority Business Development at Bank Plus Bank. She has had a prosperous career in banking for over 35 years. At Bank Plus, Ms. McGee is responsible for developing and implementing programs, products, and initiatives geared toward minority businesses in all community Bank Plus services. She has served as Nissan project manager, working with Nissan North America to implement services and products for Bank Plus. She currently serves, and she can correct me on some of the things if they're not as accurate as they need to be. She currently serves as Continental project manager, working with onboarding staff at Continental Tire Company. Ms. McGee is a graduate of William Carey University School of Business with a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration. She also holds a certificate of banking from the American Institute of Banking and the University of Mississippi School of Banking. She is a graduate of Leadership Hattiesburg and Leadership Jackson, past president and founder of the West Jackson Rotary Club. She has received a District Service Award and currently serves as an Assistant District Governor of Rotary. Ms. McGee was named one of the top 50 leading business women in the state. She was also voted Jackson Advocate Woman of the Year. She was selected as the U.S. Small Business Administration Mississippi 2013 Financial Service Champion of the Year. Ms. McGee was chosen as a Woman of Distinction for the Girl Scout of Greater Mississippi. She was presented with the Robinson Watson Book Award for Outstanding Community Service. Ms. McGee was chosen as Who's Who in Black Mississippi. She received the Financial Women's International Woman of the Year Award and was a Dress for Success Woman of Strength Award recipient. She also served as a board member of numerous boards and service organizations, including Dress for Success Metro Jackson, Jackson State University Development Foundation Board, where she serves as chairman of board of directors. Ms. McGee is an active member of Nissan Community Advisory Group, Community Foundation for Mississippi, and Woodward Hines Foundation. Ms. McGee is a graduate of Leadership Jackson and Leadership Hattiesburg, as I mentioned. I could go on and on and on. I mean, I think my printer gave out of ink. When it started sharing all of the accolades, she would push back on this because she's not one of these narcissistic, arrogant. She's one of the most approachable people you will ever meet with such a lofty position. She's a pioneer. She's a trendsetter. And most of all, she is my friend. I'm delighted to have my friend, Debra McGee, on Defining Moments. Welcome, Debra.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I did not deserve that, but I really appreciate it.
That's you. I mean, you earned all of this. When you think of that, I didn't make up anything. When you think of that, and I could have gone, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, you just pull up her bio, Debra McGee. You're like, oh my gosh, she's so young. You would think she's like 94 years old to have accomplished as much as she has. But when you hear me reading some of your accomplishments and body of work, what do you think?
Nothing but God. I grew up in a small, poor community in Hattiesburg called Palmer's Crossing that I'm very proud of. And I never thought that I would be doing what I'm doing today. But I know the Lord had something special in mind for me. And so it is a ministry for me, and I enjoy every day.
As you have a fiduciary responsibility in your position with the bank.
Yes.
But you make it seem so effortless, and you're one of the most approachable people with such a, and I don't say that to tantalize your ears, but I mean that. You seem to, you don't seem to be, you're one of the most approachable people with your position that I know. And that speaks of your heart. Yes. Where did that come from, Debra? Because you're not in an office in the corner and you have 15 secretaries, kiss my ring, well, I'll get back to them. I have always known you to want to help in the position that you serve as much as you can.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, Larry, it's not about me. It's about helping others that counts. And I thank God for my parents who taught me that it's important to give back. And my mother, I remember her telling me when I was a young child, I would never be wealthy because I would give away everything I had.
Wow.
Because I believe in sharing. I believe in helping others to accomplish their goals, to make their dreams come true. And I'm really blessed that I work for a financial institution that believes in me and believes in giving back to the community. And that's so important.
You just don't talk the talk. You actually walk the walk, because you've been a blessing from a business aspect. You've been a blessing to me. You've been a blessing to me and my wife. That when I came to you and shared the vision about some of the things that I want to do, you not only counsel us from a business standpoint, but as a friend. And I'm grateful for that. So, man, I couldn't lose. Each time I walk into your office, I can't lose.
Oh, Larry, you're making me cry. But, I never wanted to be in banking.
Never?
Never. When I finished college, I wanted to move to Texas to be in the oil business. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. I did go to Texas, but God had other plans for me. As a matter of fact, when I first received my first offer to work in finance, I turned it down.
Wow.
And one of my best friend's husband said, "This is the opportunity of a lifetime. You need to take that job." And I was like, so I called him back. And of course, I had to work my way up. When I got out of college, there was not many jobs for minorities in Hattiesburg. And but I called him back and I accepted the position, and I've been in the banking field ever since.
So is that office your current office, or is it a while back, or are you like on the 18th floor of this gigantic tower?
No, I'm not on a gigantic
I'm
tower.
I'm messing with you now.
That is a old picture that I think that picture was taken.
Was that State Street? Is that your State Street?
Maybe so. I don't know. Maybe I want to say maybe Landmark, when we were located downtown.
So when you look at that picture,
on Capitol,
when you look at that picture,
yes,
what do you think? What's going through your brain, and what's going through your head, and where are you in life in terms of banking?
What was going through my mind? I'm looking at that picture and I'm saying I was
First young
at that time.
That
Yes, you got some old pictures, but yes, but just trying to make a better life for my kids and myself, and just enjoying what I do.
How did you get here? Now, many folk who know you intimately know of your journey, but how did you arrive here? Because you've been the first of many things. All right. God is, and because God knew He could trust you, Debra. Because he knew that you wouldn't get to the boardroom and say, I've arrived and it's all about me.
Oh,
thank you. You've been able to get to the boardroom and you've been able to hold the door open for other people. I know your heart.
Yes.
All right. And a lot of other folk know your heart. But how did you get here? Because you're saying you never wanted to get in the banking industry. You wanted to get into the oil industry.
Right. I did. I got here by default, and I guess it was God's plan for me to get here to help others. And that is one of my missions before I retire, is to really elevate others to positions in finance, because there's not many minorities in banking and finance. There's more now than it was.
Yeah.
I know I have been the only one in a lot of rooms, sitting at a lot of board tables. But I have to remember it's more than just about me.
Yeah.
And I thank God that I'm not a selfish person. I want to see everyone happy. I want to see everyone live their life to the fullest. And I think that's why God has put me in positions where I'm able to have a voice for others.
So for those, and I just feel convicted to call you out on the spot, for those that are in a position to make a difference in the lives of people that have been elevated or hold lofty positions, what would you share with them right now about utilizing their position for the benefit of helping other people? And you can say that because you're in the position to say that to your counterparts, whatever industry they might be in.
Yes.
How would you, if you were in the room, and you have been with a lot of CEOs and owners and presidents of the companies, and you were giving your final speech about keep the door open opportunity. It's not only about you, it's about others, and you have the capacity to open doors. Do that. What would you say? In fact, what would you say to them?
I would say always lift someone else up. Play it forward, because it's so important that in order for our community and state to move forward, we have to have mentors that will actually help others and not think of, it's all about me. Because you arrived, that doesn't mean that the other person has the same opportunities. And a lot of times we don't have opportunities that most people have. It's very important to find you a mentor who really would help you out, because we get lost in the shuffle, and I know if I was a white male, I know I would be the CEO of a company and probably having thousands of employees working for me. But I know right now I am where I'm supposed to be, and I just believe that God still has some work for me to do.
I believe that.
I could retire, but I love my job. I love people. I love helping people.
Yeah.
And making their dreams come true. And if for any reason I can't help someone, I try to find another avenue and introduce them to people. Networking is so important. My son used to tell me all the time, why do you have to talk to everybody, Mom? Those people don't care about you. And I said, it doesn't matter. I care about them.
Wow.
And
that's a power.
Today, he lives in Chicago. He's a manager for CIBC in wealth management. And he has called me many times and said, Mama, I understand now what you were trying to show me, what you were trying to tell me. Because he's in the same business I'm in.
Wow, isn't that something?
Yes. And he loves it also. But we have to just realize whatever cards we have been dealt, we need to play that hand. Play it well.
Yeah, someone asked me, and I get this question at least twice a year. So, Larry, when are you going to retire? I'm like, never. I don't ever plan to retire. But then I turned it into like a little sweet response. I said, when the Lord calls me home.
Yeah.
And I said, now I may refocus my attention on something else. But God didn't create me, that's my conviction. God didn't create me to say, okay, I'm done, it's time to go fishing. I don't live to retire. I live to, as my uncle would say, I don't live to rust out. I live to wear out. Mm-hmm. And I've said this. She happens to be in the studio today. And I don't mean to be morbid or sound like a superhero. I said, I want to live such a life that at the end of my life, that if I'm rushed to the hospital and I need to be resuscitated for whatever reason, that the doctor comes to my wife and my children and they're strong enough to do it. I know it's very painful, that they'll say, don't try to resuscitate him.
Yes.
Because he has given it all. I want my children, though painful, I want my children and my wife to be able to say, there's no use. There's no need to try to resuscitate because he gave it all. And so I appreciate what you're saying. If you enjoy what you're doing, you know, the traditional sense is you get to a certain age, you retire. My question is why?
Well, you know, one of the greatest comments that was given to me recently, we have a new CEO coming in at Bank Plus. He works there, but he has been promoted to our CEO. And he actually asked me, before I decide to retire or leave, please come talk to me first.
Wow.
So that meant a lot, saying that he values my input.
Yes.
Kirk Graves is the new CEO of Bank Plus, starting in June. Jack Webb is our CEO now, and both have been very nice and realize that I'm a team player and I want to see the bank grows. And so therefore, you know, they understand that my job is.
I'm not going to go out on a limb, and I know that was a hard interruption.
Okay.
I'm going to go out on a limb, but I'm not going to go out on a limb, and I want to talk to you directly. Debra McGee is an asset. Period. Full stop. End of subject. Not only to the bank, but to this community and to this region. She is an asset, and you would do well. And I'm speaking directly to the CEO, present or future. You would do well to do everything you can to appease her, because she is an asset. And sometimes you don't miss your water until your well run dry, and that's the time not to miss it, because then it's dry. So you would do well, because she is an asset in the community, not just a zip code, but I'm talking about in the whole community. And I say that, not you. So you don't have to respond to that, because I said it. So listen, the heart that you have, let's talk about your journey. Let's talk about your upbringing. Okay. I'm curious, what don't people know about you that would be a surprise for them to know about you? Prime example for me, so that you understand the essence of my question. For me, it was a surprise. My wife, in December, she interviewed me. Oh. I sat in that seat. She sat in this seat. And she interviewed me, because people are like, listen, you interview hundreds of people, but we need to hear your story, Larry. And she said, what don't people know about you that you think that they would like to know? I said, I used to be a stutterer. I used to stutter. I couldn't hold a conversation. I used to spit on people and hit on things to jar me. I felt, and I used to, and one morning I woke up and I didn't stutter anymore. And now I'm in broadcasting. Now I have my own radio program. Now I have my own podcast. And not the least of which, I've been a pastor and a minister, and talking about a stutterer. So that's what people didn't know, but they found out, and they were amazed. So what one thing don't people know about Debra McGee?
One thing that they don't know about me,
that you don't mind share.
most people think I'm from Jackson, because I know so many people.
Yes.
And I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, a small community, Palmer's Crossing. And I grew up on a street that was named after my dad, Barnes Avenue. And I'm the baby of 5 girls. And I was a tomboy. I loved to play in the woods. And I loved to just... Is
that why you live in the rural of
Raymond? Well, I
couldn't
moved
run from it?
No, I am a country girl. I love working outside in my garden. I love cooking. Those are some things that most people don't believe, and I enjoy mowing my yard myself.
Wow.
Yes.
Now, I didn't know that. Now, and I think probably because I have you in a certain category, because you're always in a business suit, you're always at a function, you're always speaking, and it's not because you can't do it, it's because when do you find time to do it?
Well, you make time for things you want to do.
There you go.
And so when my professional life is good, I can find something to do every day and every night. I can. But my me time is on the weekends and after work.
Wow.
And that's why I love daylight savings time. I can go home and plant my flowers or work in my garden, and that's what I love to do.
You talk about the way you were raised. How important was the way you were raised? How important was that to you in your now life? The way you conduct yourself, the way you give advice and give leadership and guidance to your children?
You know, Larry, the way that I was raised, we may have been poor, which I don't think we were, because my dad owned several businesses. However, my mother never worked until I was in high school. And we had cows, we had pigs, we had chickens. You know, we grew up in the rural county. But I just remember my dad, whenever we would have a slaughter or whatever, we would always give back to the community. It was not just food for us. It was for the entire community. Everyone came over and they got a portion of what we had. And so I was always around love and the fact that you give to others, you know. And so we never went without anything. And it was like the entire community raised me, because there were very few kids where I lived on that street. It was mostly elderly people who sat on their porch, and I knew to be home at a certain time before dark.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew if they said something to me, I was supposed to do. But I remember as a child, I would always go to these elderly people homes and say, "Can I help you do something?
Wow.
Can I help you clean?
Isn't that something?
Can I help wash your dishes or whatever?" Because being the baby of 5 girls, I never had anything to do at home. My sister, older sister, would make me go outside and play because she was a clean freak. She wanted to do things herself. So I never did those things at home, but I did them for my community, for the elderly.
When you see family today versus family of your era and mine, what concerns would you have, and what aspirations you would hope that the generation of today could experience, the generation of the era that you came through and that I came through?
I don't see that love and compassion that we had growing up. I fear that we don't know our neighbors.
Wow.
You
That's
know,
powerful.
We don't love one another.
That's powerful.
We all want love, but we don't want to give it. So I think that's what we're missing.
Yeah.
Because love is a powerful thing.
Yeah.
That is one thing that the Bible states, that we should love one another.
And it has to be intentional, doesn't it?
It has to be intentional.
Yeah.
It has to be true love, you know, not that fake love.
Right.
We have to be supportive of one another. We had that coming up as a child. Now, today, we don't.
You know, someone brought this to my attention several years ago, and he said that the homes, the designs of homes, the architectural designs of homes that we're building today, they're absent of a front porch.
Right.
They may have a walkway, but they're absent of a front porch. The homes that we grew up in, that I grew up in, you know, I'm sure they had a front porch.
Exactly.
Listen, and we would sit on our front porch and talk to our neighbors,
Right.
yell at our neighbor, "Hey, neighbor," and we would be open to go and You have some sugar. We out. You have some lard. You have some flour.
Yes.
But now we walk in our homes and we don't know our neighbors.
That's
true. That's a tragedy.
It really is. And you know, when I was growing up, it was about helping one another. Mm-hmm. You know, we always gave to others what we didn't have. And like you said, borrowing a couple of sugar or egg or whatever, that was okay because the stores were so far apart. But now, today, we don't do that. And like you said, front porch, it's missing. It's that's missing. Where a lot of conversation and people looked out for one another.
And by the way, you may ask the question, so he's mentioned lard. Mama, Dad, sister, what's lard? Lard? All right, butter. It's the modern day. It's the modern day version of butter or margarine. Okay, but you keep mentioning. I hear through your tone, God, family. Were you reared in a godly home, and how important was that, and is that, and do you think that structure was for your life for you to become who you are?
I was. Neither of my parents were ministers or anything like that, but we always went to Sunday school. And even when my parents didn't go, they sent me with this lady, Miss Mamie.
Yeah.
And it was a small country church that I always went to Sunday school, and I always wanted to be the secretary of the Sunday school class. I wanted to do this. Man. But we actually attended Mount Zion Baptist Church. That was in Hattiesburg. That was several miles from our homes. So if we couldn't attend there, I always went to Sunday school at the small church in Palmer's. And I always remember that.
I saw you, just for a millisecond, you paused.
I did.
And I saw you looking back at that church.
I did.
I saw you looking back in your mind's eye. The church. What did you see?
I just saw myself sitting on the front row of the pew and the deacons and Sunday school lesson. It was such a small church, and just going back to childhood, just remembering those days.
You said, and I understand what you're meaning, but when you mention it and you reference it in a way that you did, you don't begrudge it. You said, Larry, we grew up poor. But you said it with a smile on your face. Like, maybe to some people, we didn't have a lot of material things, but we were okay.
I never knew we were poor. And I guess we were probably wealthy than most black families during that time. But the love was there. We always had food on the table, always. And our home was a place where everyone could come and have a meal, have a drink, or whatever. There was love there. And sometimes I wish we could go back to that. I really do. Because it was such a special place. When I look back on my memories, it was a wonderful childhood. It really was.
And your childhood, Debra, I'm telling you, your childhood, the essence of that, your experience, the love that permeated throughout your home and throughout your community and throughout your church, it still lives in you. I got to tell you, because you welcome people with open arms, and you're still a giver. So how did you leave Hattiesburg? Now you've made a roundabout. It's like one day somebody said, there's this star. There's this bright star, and we need to capture her and cultivate her. And they started elevating you to various positions. So let's start leaving Hattiesburg.
Okay. When I graduated from Cary, I went to work for Trustmark. It was Citizens Bank and Trust at that time. And
well, you've seen a lot of banks come and go, haven't you?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And I get bored with whatever I'm doing. after I learned the position, I want to do something else. And I just knew that I wanted something different. And matter of fact, I started off as a teller. With a college degree, I started off with a teller. There was only one other black teller.
And that's coming into the industry, that's the entry level, right?
Right.
Okay.
That was
no matter how you go, you always start out as a teller.
Well, for me, yes.
Okay.
You know, that was back in the 80s. And so therefore, you know, that was the lowest job. And I guess I got hired for that position. And so when I was a teller, I wanted to learn what the secretary was doing. When I cross-trained to learn as much as I could whenever I could. And from that, I went on to be a credit officer. That was my first position with the bank when I got promoted to an officer, which was probably a couple of years after I started. And I remember when I was in college and I had to take accounting, and we went over financial statements and stuff. And I asked my professor, I said, why do we have to learn all this stuff about assets and liabilities? I said, I'm not going to use this.
Oh.
And believe it or not, that was the first job that I had as an officer, is overseeing all the financial statements for our customers and companies.
Wow. Little did you know.
Little did I know.
God had a plan.
Yes. And so I think about that all the time. And from there, I was sent to a class in Jackson when I was still in Hattiesburg working. And the class, I can't remember the name of it, but of course I was already doing that job in Hattiesburg, and they didn't realize it. It was a tracking system with loans. And so I was able to explain to the students what they needed to do and everything. And so the district manager, which I didn't know who he was, he came over and he said, I need you to come work for me. I need you to move to Jackson. And I was like, I'm not interested in moving to Jackson. Thank you. I left that day. This guy, his name was Cliff McMurphy. He called me every month asking me to move to Jackson.
Wow.
And so, and it was, you know, you heard all these bad things about Jackson.
Sure, yeah,
and of course,
yeah.
I'm from a small town.
Yeah.
And I was doing everything. I was working with the chamber in
So
Hattiesburg.
why move? Yeah.
And my mother was so upset when I accepted the job. And they finally made me a great offer and moved me, paid for my moving expenses, gave me a bonus and everything. And I was like, okay, why not? And at the time, I was divorced with 2 kids, and my children did not want to move to Jackson.
Oh, wow. So your mother does not want, well, she's upset.
She's upset.
Now your children,
and my children are upset. And because my daughter was going into high school, and she was in the band. She didn't want to leave her friends. And my son, my mother just thought I knew no one in Jackson and I should move. And she cried and everything. And
she thought like you were going to move to Chicago or
yes.
San Francisco or Los Angeles.
Yes. But today my 2 oldest kids would tell me that was the best move I ever made for them.
Isn't that something?
Whereas my daughter has worked for Nissan for 20 plus years now. And my son took over my husband's HVAC business. Yes. And, of course, we had another child, Tosh, the baby, because I remarried. After 13 and a half years of being single and divorced, I remarried. And so we had one child together, Tosh, who lives in Chicago now, who's in wealth management.
Now, I've got to, it's like you're debating when you call a person's name, then they get to respond to it. So you called that out, so I get to respond to it.
Okay.
As an independent person, as a visionary,
mm-hmm.
How challenging was it for you to say, I'm going to get married? Because now you're very independent.
Oh, yeah.
You have your own assets, you know, okay. Mm-hmm. So how difficult was it to get married again?
I told my mother she always wanted me to remarry because she just felt like I needed a man to take care of myself. Well, after I got a divorce, and I got married very young, right out of high school, and I just told her, I said, if I never marry again, that's fine. And so for 13...
And you meant that?
And I meant that. For 13 and a half years, I was actually single, raising my kids. And I was fine. I was content with it. I really was. And out of nowhere, I met this guy. Well, I say out of nowhere, but actually, when I purchased a home when I moved here, and my air conditioner went out.
Oh,
and
okay.
I asked, not knowing many people here, this guy had hung some ceiling fans in my house. So I called and said, who would be the best person to call? And so he said, I know this guy that's really good. And he came over and gave me a price and everything. And when he came over, I left on my bike and went to the Y to work out. But anyway, fast forward, he told me that he told his worker that day, she's going to be my wife.
So you didn't give him the time of day when he first came over. It's like, I'm going to ride my bike, see you later, bye.
No, I did not. And
you didn't sense, it's not like you were waiting like, God.
No, I was not looking for a
Because your
mate.
focus wasn't on that.
No, it was not. And I just know he was very professional. And he sent me some flowers to work. And I was at home. I had taken off work. And when I got back to the office, one of my tellers had the flowers on her desk. And I said, oh, those are beautiful flowers. And she pretended like they was hers. And my secretary says, no, they're yours. And they were absolutely gorgeous. And so I called him to thank him. And he said, well, I would like to take you to dinner. And I was like, oh, I have to check my calendar. I wasn't interested.
Still?
No, I was not. And
because you were so career driven.
Right.
And taking care of your children.
And my neighbor's air conditioner went out. And she came over and wanted to know who did mine. And I told her. And so I gave her his number. And he installed hers. And then he walked over to my house and knocked on my door. And he said, I thought you were going to call me and let me take you to dinner. And I was like, oh, I've just been busy, still nothing. And one night I went home and my garage door wouldn't open. And so I didn't know anybody to call. So I called him. He said, well, I'm bowling. He said, but I'll come by and see. And so he came by and fixed it or whatever. He said nothing was wrong with it. He thought I just intentionally said that. But Larry, that was not it. That was not it. So
when he came over, did the garage door work?
It worked. It worked when he left.
Well,
he said nothing
was
wrong with it. I don't know. So I guess it was God playing a trick.
Well, have you
me.
ever heard the story of the man praying, God, send me a sign? God sends the boat. God sends the helicopter,
Yeah. And so, we ended up getting married and was married for 25 years until he died.
Yeah. We're an extraordinary blessing. We just had the picture up, and the word that captured me, the reason that I love that picture and the caption, it says visionary. You are, Debra.
Well, thank you.
You have the capacity to not see what is, but see the potential. And I'm a recipient of that. I'm a recipient of that grace because I share with you some of the business things that we're doing. What do you believe, other than being a visionary, what do you believe is some of the best qualities, some of the gifts that God has given you that becomes easy for you to function in?
It's easy for me to love. It's easy for me to rejoice, to pray for others, to see the best in a bad situation. Always look for the best in everything. And I have a tendency to favor the underdog, the one who is less fortunate.
Wow.
I believe that God has
why is that? Why do you believe that is?
I don't know, Larry. I guess God wants us to love everyone. And so regardless if some of my customers are millionaires or some of them have a few dollars in their account, I give them the same attention and respect as I give the one who has millions. And I think that's just a quality that God has given me.
Well, I can tell you this: he's not through with you yet. You know, ebonically speaking, using hood vernacular, he ain't through with you yet, Deborah. You know,
No.
he's not through with you yet. It seems that that the Lord has elevated you, and just people want a part of you, maybe for their own selfish reasons. I want you to serve on this board. I want you to serve on that board. Do you feel sometimes overwhelmed by your gift?
I think that I feel I get more respect and accolades than I should, in which I don't like. The way you're talking to me, it brings tears to my eyes.
Because, you know, in the green room, I was just sharing with you, Carla and I, we were just loving on you, and you I sensed that you felt uncomfortable, but you've always been that way. When Carla and I, we've loved on you, like, I wish we'd talk about something else. I wish we'd talk about the weather.
Yeah.
But why do you feel so uncomfortable?
I know I have favor with the Lord because it's not about me.
Yes.
It's not about me. And I just don't like to be in the spotlight. I believe in doing what I'm supposed to do, giving back to others. And I just don't have to be rewarded for that.
I think that's why he keeps elevating you. Because you're intentionally elevating him. The more he's elevating you, I think you're taking the light and you're constantly shining it on him. And I think so it's like an oxymoron. The light comes on you, you're like, don't put the light on me, put the light on him. So the question becomes, how important is your faith? How important is Debra McGee's walk with the Lord?
That's very important. It's important that I know who I belong to. It's important that I'm happy, that I have peace.
Yes.
And as long as I have peace, that's all that matters, Larry. It's not about the materialistic things. It's not about me receiving awards or me being on your show talking today. It's about loving, receiving love and giving love. That's so important to me, to have joy in my heart and to know that I have favor with the Lord. And that's why I am who I am. That's why, you know, I had a customer as well as a friend. He wanted to know, he said, why do all your employees, why does everyone just love you? I said, they don't. He said, no, you just don't understand. He said, they really love you. He said, I have never heard anyone say anything bad about you. However, yes, there are some people who don't like me.
I got it.
You're gonna have that in life, but I think it just makes me stronger. And as long as I know that I have done what I'm supposed to do, that I have looked at my heart, that I have tried to respect people as I desire to be respected, and respect is earned. And I just know that because the favor that I have with the Lord, I'm going to be fine. I will find happiness. I do not hold grudges. You know, and it's just, if everyone looked through the lens of my life and realized it's not about me. I just want to see other people happy. I want to see my children happy. I want to do what's right. Even when no one is looking, Larry, I still want to do what's right. And I tell people all the time, I don't lie because I can't remember what I said. If I always tell the truth, that means I'm doing what's right. And that was something that my mother insisted. She would always say, I don't like a liar, and I don't like anyone who steals. So those two things that I remember as a child growing up, her telling me to be honest, to always tell the truth, and not to take what didn't belong to me.
So, all right, we're about to go deep swimming now.
Okay.
There's somebody watching right now. I sense that you heard about Debra McGee and you're inquisitive, but you feel so low. You feel hopeless and helpless. Life has dealt you a hard blow, and that nobody loves you and you feel all alone. How would you encourage them, Debra? They feel all alone. They feel hopeless. They feel helpless.
You know, love can come from people you never know. Love, you have to, in order to be loved, you have to give love.
Come on.
You have to show others that you're loved and that you're capable of being loved. And sometimes we don't like ourselves, Larry. Sometimes we don't. And a lot of times we need to look in the mirror and say, Lord, is it me? Fix my heart.
Come on, Debra. Come on.
Show me how to love. Show me what it is to be a child of God, to have favor. And I tell my Sunday school class all the time, they think I'm funny. I said, you know, the Lord wants me to have the best things. He wants me to be happy. He wants me to have the finer things in life. And I'm his child. Why shouldn't I? I love nice things. I love to be happy. And happiness is not always being around people. You need to find joy within yourself.
Wow.
Being alone.
Yes.
Sitting at home.
Yes.
You know, reading or working in your yard
Yes.
or cooking, whatever you like to do. Find out what you like to do. Find yourself. I think people are not happy or don't know how to love is because they don't know themselves.
Oh, that's powerful. Oh, that's powerful.
So,
Oh, that's powerful. People see Debra. See, let me tell you something. You're helping a whole lot of people right now because they see this statuesque, beautiful, intelligent, very versatile, well-traveled executive. But you're saying that's a friend of ours, a friend of mine, Demario Davis, plays New Orleans Saints.
yes.
And he was being interviewed by one of the television stations and networks, and they were saying, man, you're a great football player, and you've done this, and you've done this. And he responded one Sunday and said, that's my job. Mm-hmm. He said, that's what I do, but that's not who I am.
Right.
He said, who I am, a child of God. So when I look at Debra in your office, that's your job. Mm-hmm. That pays the light bill.
Right.
That's a part of it. That's your blessing. That's your ministry. But there's so much more to Debra. I'm hearing the gardener, the lawn and garden person,
yes,
the chef, and you get great joy out of that.
I do,
because you love you, and you've made peace with who you are and whose you are.
I have, and I thank God that I don't have to please anyone else. I just do what I know is my best.
My wife is about to run through the studio right now. You don't have to please anybody.
No.
Other than him.
Other than him. And I know, I just say all the time I have favor. You know, because people will call me and they would want advice or looking for a job or whatever. And I always have other people calling me and say, do you know someone who could do this? Yesterday I had one of my friends said, I'm looking for a lawyer. I need to hire a lawyer. Do you know anyone? I know 2 people. I just attended their wedding in New Orleans. They live in D.C. They want to move back home. So networking and showing love
Yeah.
and trying to promote others,
Yes.
the doors would just be open
Yes.
for you to help others if we just listen, and not all the time to other people, but listen to our hearts in the Lord, and He will direct your path. And that's what He does for me, Larry.
What I hear you saying, and I've said it many times, not correct English, but it's for effect. God don't mind you having stuff. He don't want stuff having you.
Right.
He don't mind you having stuff. He don't mind you constantly being. I mean, Debra, you're everywhere. Where do you get the energy?
My daughter asks me that all the time.
Where do you get the energy? People pull. But you said something earlier. I now understand, and you understand it. And Carla says the same thing in her position. God has placed me in this position to be a blessing. Not just get blessed myself, but to be a blessing. And now, and I've always known you to be a selfless person, that you utilize your positions and these boards that you're on to be a blessing to other people.
That's what it's about, Larry. Why can't we be a blessing to others? Why do we have to be selfish and think about it's about us, what I did, what I've done? The I. It's not about me. Why can't I help others?
Wow.
You know,
I'm reminded of the story in the Bible that this wealthy man had so much wealth and commodities. He looked at himself one evening, and looked at all the things that he had amassed, commodities. And he said to himself, I have great wealth. I think I'll build a bigger barn. You know the story. You're a student of the word. And rather than sharing, he said, I'm just going to build a bigger barn for me to store more stuff for myself. And the Spirit came to him and said, thy fool, your soul is required of you tonight. I believe, and I'm like you, I think we're related, seriously, because I was told, man, you'll never have a lot because you always give it away. But I feel comfortable.
Yes.
And then I understand who I am. I understand that I'm a conduit. I understand that I'm a warehouse. And so are you, Debra. It's like you've heard the old cliche, if God can get it through you, He don't mind getting it to you. So when you hear words like you're a trailblazer, and you are. Now what does that mean? That simply means that you've gone and you've done what others have not done before. How uncomfortable is that? Because the expectation, there's some sense of expectation. I'm functioning in a place that no one like me has ever been. So I've got to perform to the highest level so that I don't fail, and then that I can utilize this opportunity to open doors for others.
Well, I think,
simply put,
I think God gives you what He knows you can handle. I know that.
Oh, that's good.
And therefore, He knows if I'm at the corporate table, I'm going to speak up for others, for what's right. And
you said that with conviction.
It is.
You said that with full conviction, Debra.
Yes.
And you meant that too, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Good
and
for you.
And I think CEOs of company, I think of Bill Ray, who is the CEO at Bank Plus, who hired me. I think he really respected me. He did not always agree with what I said, but he respected that I had input, that I spoke my word, and what I said was what I meant, and that it was better for Bank Plus, for our community, and the people we serve. And I remember one day I had been talking to him about a product that we had and why we should do things a certain way, and he just could not see it. And I would say maybe 6 months or a year later, he was like, who made that stupid decision? I said, you did. And I hit my hand on the table, on the corporate boardroom table, and I almost turned the chair over because I said, you finally understand. And of course, things changed to the way that I thought they should have been, and everyone was happy, and the bank did extremely well with that product and service.
You know, boy, that's a good place to take a pause right here, because our friend Cal Reno, senior pastor of Crossgate, he actually speaks to that in his Defining Moment sermonette. I want you to stay tuned and listen to his word about conviction, and we'll be right back with my friend, our friend, your friend, Debra McGee.
Hey, my name is Kyle Reno, senior pastor at Crossgates Baptist Church. Here's a defining moment from this last Sunday.
Tell you the truth, we got to embrace this. The cross only makes sense to those that are saved. It only makes sense. It's like on the other side of being born again, seeing the forgiveness, experiencing the forgiveness, do you actually go, oh, wow. It's only on the other side of being made alive do we realize this is the only thing that could have made us alive. He's the only one that can make us new. So we shouldn't be surprised when the far from God people think what we believe is crazy, because they have not yet been changed by it. They've not yet been transformed by its truth. What Paul's saying, I've decided, listen to me, I'm willing to look like a fool so that some that are far might come into the kingdom. He goes on to say, for it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and just the discernment of the discerning I will thwart. Where is the one who is wise? Where's the scribe? Where's the debater of this age? Has not God made foolish the wisdom of this world? For since in the wisdom of God, the world did not know God through wisdom, it pleased God, listen to this now, through the folly of what we preach, to save those who believe. For the Jews demand signs, and the Greeks seek wisdom, but we preach Christ crucified.
Hey, thank you for taking some time to listen to that defining moment from this last week. If you'd like to listen to the sermon in its entirety, you can go to crossgates.org, and we would love to have you visit with us any week on any of our Sunday experiences or our midweek opportunities. I'd encourage you this week to take some time and really think about what moments right now are defining your destination. God has more in store for you. Hope to see you soon.
What does the name Story mean to you? Our team put a lot of thought in what story means to them.
Story to me, I think of the word legacy. I think of family, I think of people, I think of relationships. I think some of my most fond memories are sitting around listening to stories, and stories from all different backgrounds, all different cultures, all different types of family relationships, professional relationships, and how those relationships kind of transcend time.
Every day we tell our story, the story of our associates, of our clients, of the communities that we serve. That's the essence of the soul of the bank, and it's why being storytellers is so compelling to us, because we've been telling our story for the last 4 years, and now we can go out and really show the market who we are.
Being able to tell the story and incorporating that in our name, to me, is a sense of pride.
It's just a continuation of the people we serve every day, and their individual stories that have made this place so special.
We are trying to change from being seen as just a commercial bank to a bank that is for anyone and everyone, because we are. And that is why we want to change to Story Financial Partners, because we want to know what your story is, what brings you to us, and how we can be a part of your story.
We're growing, we're evolving, and I see us being very successful.
The future of the bank is so bright, you need sunglasses. I mean, it's incredible.
Our future is like it is now, continues to be bright and growing, and will always go upward.
I am very excited. I see it as reading a suspenseful novel based on a true story, of course, because we've had a wonderful beginning, and where we're headed here is a to be continued experience. I'm excited because we should never put a period there. We should always put a comma, because there are greater things to happen with our story. to be continued.
Hey, welcome back to Defining Moments. I'm with my friend. She's going to be real uncomfortable with this descriptive word that I'm going to use. She's an institution. All right. I see her eyes rolling at me. All right. She's a treasure. I see her eyes still rolling at me. I bet she won't roll her eyes when I say this. She's a daughter, child of God. Now see, she's shaking her head. How difficult has the journey been for you to be the first at a lot of things? How calluses on your hands, calluses on your knees, calluses on your heart from praying and asking God, why me? Why?
You know, I never asked God why me.
Really?
I don't know. I did one time, and that was not about my career, but it was when my husband passed. And I asked him, why me? And he said, why not you?
Wow.
It could have been you and not him. So I understood what he was trying to show me. But when you talk about the first, Larry, I could talk about integration. I could talk about being bused. I grew up in Palmer's Crossing, and we had a high school. It was 1 through 12 grade in my backyard. But I was bused to Petal High School, miles away.
Wow.
When I was in the 4th grade because of integration. I could talk about being the only black in a classroom. I could talk about being the only black in the band of 125 members at my school, Petal High School. I could talk about how the Ku Klux Klansmen marched with their uniform on every week to keep me out of high school.
Wow.
I could talk about how I was in the band and overhearing one of the coaches laugh because I was the only black out of 125 members there. And he later went on to become supervisor and superintendent of Petal High School. So I could talk about how many times I was called to the office because whenever we would gather by the flagpole, that they thought I was starting a riot because I spoke up for what was right. I could talk about being the only black on the annual staff. I could talk about how they did not allow blacks to go to their senior proms. There's a lot I could talk about, a lot that I endured. But I realized that God was preparing me for the corporate boardroom where I would be the only black. That when I would walk into meetings or to functions, and everyone would want to know who was my husband because they thought I was the wife of an executive. I could talk about those things, but it was just God preparing me to be a strong black woman who would have a say in the corporate world, who would know the right and the wrong thing to do. And not doing the wrong thing, but being a woman of my word, being a leader, being someone who would help the underserved, and just being a good citizen. And so he prepared me for that.
The first person I thought about was Esther, Queen Esther. Mm-hmm. Mordecai told Esther, you've been sent here for such a time as this to influence the lawmakers and to influence the king and his decrees for such a time as this. Wow, that's powerful. Mm-hmm. So my former pastor, John Cameron, he's in heaven now. He's made the statement. He said, God is preparing one of his favorite quotes, God is preparing you for what is already prepared for you. That's what I hear you saying.
Yes.
God was preparing you then.
Yes, he was.
For where you are now.
Yes.
So that you would know how to utilize the gifts and talents that he has placed inside of you to make a difference. God is grooming and pruning and refining you now for later on down the road. So for those persons, that person that feel like they're just going through a hopeless situation and they don't understand why, and they feel like giving up, feel like throwing in the towel, because feel like they're the first, or feel like the first, and stuff is just being booby trapped. They're being booby trapped. I want you to look at them right now, and what would you tell them?
Don't give up.
Wow. Come on, Debra. Come on.
You know, when we least expect it, things will take a turn. They could be for the better. They could be for the worse. But as long as you stand and know what you're doing is right, and you ask the Lord for protection, to just hold you, to build a fence around you, to protect you, brighter days are coming. I promise. Wow. I promise. Larry, you know, if we never had any rain in our life, how would we ever appreciate the sunshine?
Come on.
And as long as you learn from your mistakes and you learn what to do that's right, you will be blessed. And you know, everyone is not going to like what you say or do. They won't. But as long as you know what you're doing is right, as long as you have prayed about it, and the Lord is leading you, you're going to have sunshine in your life. You will. But we have to have trials and tribulations in order to make us a stronger person. Because life is not all about the roses. They smell good, but you know, when it rains, how the pellets, they fall off and they look ugly. But then you snap them up, deadhead them, as I call them, and then they come back more beautiful. So sometimes we have to be pruned in order to grow, to become stronger, to know what life is about, and to look at the beautiful things that God has given us and to appreciate those things.
That's a powerful word. Pruning can be tough, can't it? To be honest, it's tough and it's hard. And what I hear you saying, that in order to bring out the essence, the beauty of really who you are, is necessary.
That's true.
And you can talk about it. And listen, I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Because you're still standing.
Yeah.
You could have thrown up your hands. You could have shielded yourself behind your title. You can move anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
All right. You can buy a house somewhere else, but you're still standing. And you've shown us, those of us who really know you, it's okay, but you're still standing.
Yeah. I like to think of it as God is still blessing me. And there's a lot of work that has to be done. And I'm a part of that job. I have to get it done to please Him.
No matter the trials, no matter the tribulation, no matter the windstorms, the tornadoes, the hurricanes in your life, you're still saying, Debra McGee, who is an executive in an executive leadership role at one of the highest levels of a financial institution, there's still more work.
Oh,
and
yes.
and I'm still favored.
Yes.
But you're saying that after the pain.
Yes. Yes, I am. And one of the initiatives that I have, that I started last year with my job, is actually working with ministers to actually teach financial literacy
Lord have mercy.
in
That's
churches.
Needed. That's needed.
And this is something that I really enjoy doing because we need to build wealth. We need to understand that everything is not given to us.
Yes.
But what is given to us, what we have earned, we need to take care of it. We need to be better stewards.
Oh, that's good.
Of our dollars, of our time. Like you said, how do I find time to be on all these boards, to cut my yard or whatever? You find time to do what you want to do. So my mission is, before I retire, is to work with churches and schools to actually offer financial literacy on how to move forward in their business, in their personal life. And I feel working with ministers of all faith, I think they could touch the congregation to make it comfortable for them, because finance is not comfortable for all people.
That's right.
Some people may have bad credit and don't know how to get out of that, may use payday loan companies or,
It goes from bad to worse.
Right. And so I want to teach them and to make them understand that that's not the end of the world. Having credit is so important because it's part of being a good steward. When we look at ministry, and if you're not paying your debts that you have actually made, if you're not paying them back, you took something that you promised to pay back. So when you look at it, you got something that you didn't pay back. Is that stealing? Is that taking something from someone that should have been paid back and you didn't? That's not being a good steward. So I want people to become homeowners. I want them to have the desires of their heart. I want them to have a retirement fund where they don't have to depend on Social Security, that they can depend on the money that they have set aside for retirement. I don't want people to live from payday to payday. When I was divorced and I was raising 2 kids, I was making enough money to actually take care of my kids and to buy food. But I remember going to the grocery store thinking, one day I'll be able to buy steaks. I will be able to buy seafood, anything I want to feed my family. Larry, I was not always able to do that. We ate roast every weekend, every Sunday. I cook a pot roast because it was 97 cents a pound.
Wow.
And we had greens and things out of the yard, vegetables and stuff. But if I wanted a steak, I couldn't afford that. So I had to live within my means. And I remember when I remarried and my husband's, I told him that story and he was like, so you mean to tell me you would go to the grocery store and you would think about what you wanted to eat or what you wish you had the money to pay for and could? Yes, I did. We always had food on our table, but it may not have been what I wanted as a single mother with 2 kids, but they ate. But it was not maybe what I wanted. But today I could walk in the grocery store
God.
And I could buy steak and I could buy seafood. And, I could even help someone who's in line ahead of me who don't have enough money to pay for their food. So God has given me the desires of my heart. And I don't forget about things like that, Larry.
And I'm going to tell you something. And he's not through with you yet. So, don't mean to be morbid, all right? Don't need to be we only have a couple of minutes left without being a finalist, in other words, a doomish. If you were able to see your life when people are speaking over you of your celebration of life, if you were able to see it, what would you hope that the persons closest to you would say?
Well done, thy good and faithful servant. Well done.
See, you know the word. See, you know the scripture too. So you're you're a student of the Word of God. That's powerful. My goodness, that's a powerful word. You're about to get me emotional. What does that mean?
Well done.
No, because now that sounds so good. I want some more. I want some more dessert. Because what you said, shouldn't we all want to hear that?
We should. We should. If we love and appreciate one another, we should. But you hear it all the time. I don't care what they think about me. I don't care what they say about me. But we really do.
We really do.
We really do. Deep down inside, we really do care about what is said. And the Bible speaks of a good name.
That's right. That's right. It's better than all riches.
That it is.
It's more important than all riches.
It really is. And don't you have peace when you know you don't have any enemies?
Yeah.
That you have not done any wrong?
That's right.
There's peace.
Yeah.
I remember my pastor in Hattiesburg, Reverend Arthur Siggers, he would say a lot of times, if you know that you have peace and you know you have no grudges against anyone, then your job is done. So I just want peace.
Well, let me tell you something. You said earlier in our conversation, what you desire, you have to give. Mm-hmm. And the reason that people love you is because you give it, Debra. The reason that you feel peace is because you've made it intentional. The reason why people are happy to see, the reason that people are happy to see you, listen to me well, and I'm going to close when I say this. The reason that people are happy to see you is because you're happy to see them.
Mm-hmm.
And you're an extraordinary blessing.
Thank you.
Do you take speaking engagements?
I do, but I don't like to do speaking engagements.
Yeah.
When you contacted me, it was forever before I got back with you.
No, I'm just saying, if somebody wanted you to come speak at a convention or somewhere in Chicago or in Detroit or at a church or at a forum or something like that, do you like doing those kinds?
I have gotten a lot of speaking engagements from churches lately on finance. So anytime I can help anybody.
Yeah. And let me say this. You said it took me forever to respond to you. I didn't feel no ways about that because I knew it wasn't if, it was when, because I know your heart.
Yeah.
I know you, and I knew God. It was God's timing. It was God's timing. Mm-hmm. So God reserved Debra McGee just for you. I'm looking at you right now in my spirit's eye. You needed to hear her story. You needed to hear her journey. You needed to hear and to sense her vulnerability and her transparency. Because oftentimes we assume that if a person has this zip code, live in this zip code, they have this position, that they grew up like this and they're untouchable and they don't feel. Well, quite the opposite. I'm not saying she's perfect. She's not flawless. But I think you've been able to discern today that she is resolute in her journey because she trusts who she is. So I want to thank you for being with me, our dearly beloved friend. What a treasure you are.
Thank you for this opportunity, Larry.
Absolutely. She'll be back. She'll be back. And I believe that you were blessed today. Remember, our only motivation is that you're inspired, that you're encouraged and challenged to embrace your created purpose and live it with the spirit of excellence. Our only goal is to help you find hope. Hope for life. I'll see you next time on Defining Moments.